Hello guys, my name's Colin and this is Colin Talks Crypto. This is part 2 of the last video I did. This video is going to be about the EOS blockchain. The last video, if you haven't checked it out, please do, is about my piece of real estate and property that I sold and why. Because of recent economic downturns in March and my anticipation of recessions, as well as an upcoming crypto bull run. So if you haven't watched that video, please do. This video, being part 2, is actually going to be EOS Mega Update Volume, what are we at, 29, 30? I don't even know. This is EOS Mega Update. And we're gonna talk about Google Cloud joining ranks as an EOS block producer, as well as an executive from Goldman Sachs joining the advisory board for Block.one, and we'll talk about EOSFinex. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. And I do apologize if the audio quality is subpar or the wind is too loud or you hear loud birds in the background. I did not plan to make this video, so I'm just doing this on my phone. I did not bring my microphone that I normally bring. I should probably bring that everywhere from now on because I spontaneously get inspired to make a video in random places. So we're going to talk about EOS in this video, and there are some exciting things happening in EOS. We recently saw a 20% price increase upon the news of several things all happening at once. And let's just go down the line here. I'm going to go in reverse order and kind of get to the longer topic last. So first up, we have Bitfinex has just launched the beta version of its EOSFinex decentralized exchange built on top of the EOS blockchain. Now this is awesome because we've already had a couple of decentralized exchanges on EOS, and shout out to Whalex and especially Nudex. I literally use Nudex for every EOS-based token that there is, and I love that platform. Well, now we have a major player, Bitfinex, launching EOSFinex decentralized exchange. And the specific advantage that this offers is liquidity. And one of the amazing things that Bitfinex has offered here is increased liquidity. They have married the liquidity from their Bitfinex exchange with their decentralized EOSFinex counterpart exchange. So if you've noticed on Nudex, while it's an amazing exchange, the trading volumes aren't that of platforms like Bitfinex or Coinbase or Huobi, etc. Decentralized exchanges are still coming up in terms of volume, and things like automatic market maker platforms like DeFi Box or Uniswap are also majorly on the uptick. And so this is a trend I see continuing. And we just added to the ranks of the EOS blockchain, EOSFinex. So go on over, check it out, log in, create an account, try trading on EOSFinex. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's in beta still, but I am very, very optimistic about this. And one of the big factors I'm loving about EOSFinex is the potential to add all these tokens that EOS has on its blockchain. If you go to marketcap.one, which is the equivalent of CoinMarketCap, but lists all the EOS-based tokens, you will see that we have like 100 EOS tokens. And if you look at it, how many of those are on major exchanges? I think it's like maybe like 1 or 2. Like Everapedia's IQ token, I think, is listed on a major exchange, and that's about it. And I would love to see all of these tokens listed on a major exchange because that will just flow tons of liquidity and trading volume because the on-ramps are made that much easier for the average user to access. And that is what EOSFinex makes possible. So I'm very bullish about this EOSFinex exchange. Next up, in reverse order, we've got Goldman Sachs. An executive from Goldman Sachs has joined Block.one's advisory board. And in my opinion, this is a huge statement of validity for EOS. EOS and Block.one are making the right moves, where upon they're getting team members that are experienced veterans in their fields. And we saw the same with the likes of Salah with the Voice social media platform. Block.one hired Salah to run Voice social media. And here we have an executive from Goldman Sachs joining the Block.one advisory board. So this is very, very bullish. We have experts in their fields with tons of experience joining the EOS blockchain and Block.one. So the team is growing stronger. Lastly, and this is a topic I want to spend a little more time talking about, is Google has just created a block producer on the EOS blockchain, and it is running currently. Now, this is huge for a couple of reasons, and I've heard people have a minority of people have expressed a opposite opinion, and we'll get to that as well. I think that this is bullish because Google is humongous. Now, you may or may not like Google, right? For privacy concerns, I think they're utter crap. For a monopoly, I think it's crap. But for the power that Google brings and the infrastructure that Google brings and the name brand recognition and the reputation and the infrastructure, that is why I think that Google joining the EOS blockchain is a power move. And Block.one released a video. I'll play it right here. This is Google joining block producer ranks on EOS. As you can see, Block.one is very pumped about Google joining, and I have a feeling that Block.one has been working on this behind the scenes.
Block.one's been working with Google for cloud services and the like, and Google got interested in what we were doing, and Google Cloud got interested in what we were doing. And so, we've been educating them on how EOS.io works, the EOS public network, and they decided they wanted to get involved. So we were very excited that they see the potential in being a member of the community.
Dan Larimer, in his past recent videos, in the past couple of months, he's done a couple of interviews, and he's talked about how we should expect to see in the near future major names, major corporations jumping on board as block producers on the EOS blockchain. And here we have it. Google is the first one. The Google Cloud platform has joined up as a block producer on EOS. And based on Dan's statements, not only was he truthful about that, and here we have Google, he also alluded to others joining. He didn't say one was coming, he said that many were coming and we would see them. So I think that this is the start. And imagine a world on EOS where we have a Google top 21 block producer, and we have an Apple top 21 block producer, Amazon top 21 block producer, and these major name brand corporations running a BP node in the top 21. Normally, I would probably be against such a thing because I hate centralized control, but there's 21 block producing spots. So even though Google in and of itself is privacy violating and a centralized entity, the fact that it is only one of 21 block producers means that it lends its power, not its weaknesses, to the blockchain. We get its infrastructure, we get its fiber optic networks, we get its insane throughput, its insane capabilities, its technical prowess lent to the EOS blockchain without any of that centralizing stuff, because again, they're only one of 21 block producers. And this is really an amazing thing, I think, the more I think about it, the fact that we can onboard these massive corporations that have tremendous capital, and we discard their centralized qualities, and we take advantage of their technical capabilities as one of 21 block producers. I think it's really, really genius. Now, I've heard the argument from just a handful of individuals. In fact, one of them was a block producer that wanted the Colin Crypto proxy to vote for them. So I get the conflict of interest in their statement as well. But they have stated that, what has Google done for EOS? They haven't bought any tokens. They haven't contributed in any way. Why should we vote for them? In fact, they say we should not vote for them because they haven't shown or proven anything. And I get it. You're right, they haven't done anything yet. They've simply created a node, and anyone can create a node. So why does Google deserve our votes? And in my opinion, it goes back to what I said at the very start of this. I think that the value comes in a lot of things, like the experience. Google is a huge corporation, but that doesn't mean that they don't have the strongest infrastructure on Earth. Google and Amazon are the top infrastructures on this planet. So to have Google say, hey, we're interested in EOS, is a real validation of the EOS blockchain. I really don't think that Google is interested in the block pay. I don't think that that's a significant income source to them. In fact, that's probably 0.00001% of their global annual revenue. block producer income is not why Google jumped on board. And it's not why Block.one asked them to join. Google was asked to join because they are a powerhouse in the industry. And so imagine having BPs with that much technical capability, that much throughput potential, that much computational power behind each block producing node. That is how we scale to meet the demands of global adoption. That is how we reach hundreds of thousands of transactions per second in conjunction with IBC, inter-blockchain communication, absolutely.
To truly decentralize power, we need to have many, many different chains, and then these chains need to form chains of chains of chains. I guess a hierarchy of blockchains that are all communicating together is how you would scale this.
But having power players like that have the massive resources and infrastructure is how we get there. And so I think that this is part of why it's so amazing that Google created a block producer node on EOS. And just to counter the argument that someone says, well, Google didn't even buy any tokens. If they want to get voted up high, they should buy some EOS tokens. And who knows, maybe they will. I don't know. I don't think that they have currently, and I don't think that it's a big deal. I'd actually rather have token holders vote for them. But you know what? It's a hypocritical statement to say that Google hasn't bought tokens to vote themselves in, when currently we have top 21 block producers like Huobi and Bitfinex and all these guys I harp on that have voted themselves in with user funds that did not explicitly give them permission to do so. And I think that that's a much worse situation.
We're also revising the whole governance structure and presenting that to the community to remove power from exchanges where they're holding other people's money and voting with it.
So if you're going to start faulting people for not buying tokens, you should be faulting the exchanges for not buying the tokens that they're voting with and voting themselves and 29 of their friends into the top 21 positions with. 29 round robin votes on EOS right now with these exchange user funds. So I think that argument is invalid. I think that the fact that Google hasn't bought tokens is totally fine. If they want to, awesome, that's so awesome. But if they don't, that's cool. I would much rather have, and this is the key here guys, I would much rather have the top 21 ranks full of massive corporations rather than the top 21 ranks filled with exchanges that vote with user funds. Because Google doesn't have custodial control of user funds. Google's not going to be able to vote 29 of its friends in place. But Huobi and Bitfinex and OKEX and these exchanges, they are going to be able to do that, and they currently are doing so. And so if you're going to fault Google for not buying tokens, you should be pointing your fingers at these exchanges. They are not buying tokens either. And so I think that this is awesome. I think that the statement that this makes is huge. Just the fact that Google said, you know what, we like what you're doing and we want to jump on board. And it's not for the money, I guarantee you that. It's a huge acknowledgement and it's a huge validation of EOS and what a mega corporation sees in EOS's capabilities. Now on to another subject that I find interesting is that, so Google's block producer node has only been around for like 2.5 or 3 days so far, but it only has 5 million votes. And if you look at the top 21 block producer positions, you need at least like 280 million votes to get voted into the top 21. So as you can see, 5 million is a far cry from the 280 million needed to get into a top 21 block producing position. I'm actually very surprised about this. I thought that the community would more quickly vote into place this block producer node from Google. But in the same token, I'm actually not surprised because, as I've just kind of mentioned, we kind of do have a cartel in the top 21 that recycle the votes from exchanges. They share these votes. And this is part of the bigger picture that BlockOne is handling right now. And I think that we are going to see some major improvements coming down the road here. And so it's amazing to me we only have 5 million votes for this amazing candidate that has just jumped on board. I mean, would you like to see Google say, you know what, we tried, we didn't get voted in the top 21. Thanks for the invite, guys, but we're gonna move on. We decided that it's not worth our time and our investment because the community obviously doesn't want us to be a part of the top 21. I think that that would be a big mistake. And I think that the reason we're seeing such low vote turnout is specifically because exchanges don't want to unseat themselves. And I think what we're seeing right now is the cartel flying in the teeth of this BP from Google. Now, it's still very early. Like I said, it's only been 3 days, and maybe it'll take a week or a month or a couple months to get Google into a higher position. And by the way, the Colin Talks Crypto proxy is going to vote for the Google node, needless to say, the Google block producing node. And I've invited Alan of Google Cloud to join the rewards proxy for Colin Talks Crypto as well, and I will happily vote for them if they join as well. And that will be a total of 11.4 million of your guys' tokens voting for the Google Cloud block producer node. And I think that that will be a huge gesture in the right direction. But we have a long ways to go. So as many votes as you guys have got here, 11.4 million votes on the 2 proxies for Colin Talks Crypto, which is awesome, and thank you guys. It's a drop in the bucket. We've got only 5 million currently, which is really sad. So I'm gonna, 3x that to 16 million votes for Google Cloud block producer node. But 16 million needs to get to 280 million to get to the top 21. So how are we going to get there? And this is where I see the bigger picture, and this is where I see BlockOne coming into the scene here. So BlockOne, as you know, has 100 million tokens to vote with, and they have not voted with these 100 million. They voted with like 10 million, and they have at least 80 or 90 million more votes they can cast. And from what I've gathered from the recent Dan Larimer interviews, here's how I see it going down. BlockOne is leveraging their votes, is going to leverage their votes. They haven't done it just yet. They're currently in discussion behind the scenes with various block producers, including Google, whom they created that flashy video for, that animation, welcoming this block producer node into the EOS ecosystem. Have you seen BlockOne create a flashy video for any other block producer joining EOS? No, that's the first one and the only one that they've ever invested a video into. That means that, first of all, BlockOne invited Google. BlockOne wants Google in the top 21. BlockOne by themselves can't make it happen, but BlockOne's in discussion with all these BPs behind the scenes, and I bet you Kevin Rose of EOS New York is part of that discussion. And it's basically like negotiations behind the scenes because BlockOne does not have a predominance of the coins. BlockOne only has less than 10% of the total EOS token supply. And so BlockOne needs to be very intelligent about how they use those votes. And I think they are being extremely intelligent. We just have to be patient, and I think that our patience will be rewarded. And so I think what we have behind the scenes is we have Kevin of EOS New York, Brendan Bloomer, the CEO of BlockOne, maybe even Dan Larimer, and whoever, the team behind EOS New York, in talks with these BPs and getting them to agree with certain rules, at which point when the BlockOne public proxy goes live, only certain BPs that have agreed and are in agreement with these rules will get voted for.
Absolutely. BlockOne is using our stake, acting as a community member to vote for the decentralization and the improvement of the quality of the governance of the EOS network. We are putting forth proposals on enhancing the resource model to make it more accessible. We're also revising the whole governance structure and presenting that to the community to encourage people to stake longer, to transfer power from short-term holders to long-term holders, and to create incentives to become a long-term holder to really grow the community. And in the process, to remove power from exchanges where they're holding other people's money and voting with it.
And so I can guarantee you that the Google Cloud node is going to be one of the 30 recipients of the 100 million votes that BlockOne has to offer. Guarantee you hands down. Because why would BlockOne have invited them? Why would BlockOne have been so enthusiastic to create this video welcoming them to the ecosystem if BlockOne wasn't going to help push them up into block producing ranks? I just don't see it not happening. So I'm going to do my part and provide 11 million votes for the Google Cloud block producer. And we are going to see, mark my words, we're going to see BlockOne casting 100 million votes toward this Google Cloud node as well. And so that will put them at 120 million votes. But still, we need more than double that to get into the top 21. And that's where I think the negotiations need to happen behind the scenes. And that's where I think that we need to have either these exchanges helping Google get up there. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think that that might happen if BlockOne does what I think they're doing, leveraging their votes. Because if BlockOne says that to be eligible to receive our 100 million tokens, you cannot vote with user funds, that immediately puts a stick in the plans, puts a knife in the plans of these exchanges. They have to go, do we want 100 million votes? And maybe they don't. Maybe they're so well seated that they don't care. Or do we want to be on the good list with BlockOne, which is a big deal? Who wants to have the top 21 filled with block producers that are like going actively against the wishes of BlockOne? I think the community would look very poorly upon that. And so I think that's part of it. There's a public relations aspect to this as well. So I think that the exchanges are going to have to think very careful and very hard about this. And I think it's a multi-pronged approach. And each one of these governance proposals, Dan's staking pool idea and EOS New York's maybe down the road, further decentralizes the blockchain because they incentivize the tokens in a way that it discourages exchanges from having such overwhelming control. I know that Dan Larimer recognizes this. He's acknowledged this in his Everything EOS video interview with Zach Gall and Cheney. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend you watch it. In the middle of that video, he acknowledges the centralized force that's going on there. He acknowledges the cartel. He uses the word cartel. He understands the situation. But rather than take the attack approach, BlockOne is being very intelligent, very strategic. It's like 4D chess. And so I hope I'm doing a good job. I'm trying my best to describe how I see this playing out here. I see a culmination of events unfolding in the next months. I see Google Cloud joining as a BP. I see BlockOne voting for Google Cloud and other BPs that ascribe to their morals and their values, which include not voting with user funds without their permission. I see one of the requirements being that recipients of those 100 million token votes from BlockOne also agree to put in place Dan's staking pool idea. Once that's done, Dan's staking pool idea is in place. That further decentralizes the chain because we have user tokens staking for longer periods of time than exchanges can do that need to have hot wallets, because exchanges need to have liquid tokens. Right now, there's only a 3-day unstaking time for EOS tokens. So why would exchanges not vote with user tokens? You have to stake the tokens to vote with them. But if there's only a 3-day unstaking time, exchanges are incentivized to stake and vote with user tokens. But with Dan's staking pool idea in place, you now have exchanges maybe only being able to do some of the tokens for a month or 2 months or 3 months, but most of them have to stay fairly liquid. Whereas users like you and I can stake for a year, and then our vote may be weighted higher, our reward may be rewarded higher, our passive income may be greater, and suddenly you have you're having this gradual shift of decentralization occurring on the blockchain, all starting with the leveraging of BlockOne's votes and their rules that they're making sure that any eligible BPs ascribe to. Pardon my language, but it's fucking intelligent. It's very ingenious. And this is what I've been suspecting for a long time, but I feel like I see the vision more clear than ever. Now that we've got Google on board and I've listened to Dan's recent interviews, I really see what's happening here. So then once we have the staking pool in place, we get this further diluting of voting power that exchanges have and a further strengthening of user token votes. And that further decentralizes the blockchain. Then we have other major players jump on board. Maybe we have Amazon block producer nodes coming online, run by the Amazon Corporation. Maybe we have Apple or Android or IBM or AMD jumping on board as name brand block producer nodes.
That means that they're going to be a candidate. The token holders on EOS will be able to vote for them. And if they get elected, then they will be one of the top 21 block producers on EOS. And that could represent a a major shift in the decentralization of EOS and the quality of the block producers. And if it works out well for Google, then other big companies will want to get involved. And then that has the potential to really transform the image of EOS. Instead of being perceived as a group of Chinese that are of questionable quality, if we get big tech companies to take the slots of block producers, now it's decentralized among a lot of companies with a lot of reputation.
And at that point, we have 100 million votes from Block.one. We have a weakened vote power from exchanges because they had to kind of agree to be included both with the community and with the 100 million votes that they're going to get from Block.one, because if they don't, they get neither of those things. They get kind of ousted from the community for not listening to Block.one, and they don't get the 100 million votes. And so I see the incentives really aligning here. And then once we have enough major corporations running block producer nodes, I don't think it'll be all of the top 21, maybe it'll be 5, but we'll have a chunk of major corporations in the top 21 block producing spots. At that point, I think then we start rolling out, or Block.one will start rolling out EOS New York's governance plan. And there's pros and cons to that. It increases inflation, but it further decentralizes the blockchain and it further rewards token holders. It does increase the inflation, so it sort of recycles the taxable events, which I don't like about that. But that's way down the road. That could be a year or two down the road. But as you can see, that's the timeline I see. I see, a couple-year timeline, but most of the good stuff happening at the beginning. We get Block.one voting 100 million votes. We get major corporations jumping on board. We get the exchange voting power diluted and lessened, and we get a further decentralized chain. So I'm really excited about what I see here, guys. Google Cloud joining the block producing ranks is a part of a multi-pronged, multifaceted approach to decentralizing the blockchain. Block.one is right behind this, spearheading the movement, as evidenced by their video promoting this very fact. And I think that there's some very exciting times coming up ahead for EOS. I know the price hasn't reflected it. I'm as disappointed about the price as you guys are, but I think that there's going to be a massive surge in price coming up this bull run. Perhaps percentage-wise greater than the Ethereum blockchain is going to see. The Ethereum token price is going to see this upcoming bull run. I think that that is possible because we have like a year before the peak of the bull run, and these things are going to start going in place before that peak is up. And we have things like the EOSFinex exchange. We have a Goldman Sachs executive joining the Block.one team. We have a lot of renowned individuals joining on board. So it's very exciting. And if you want a prediction of mine, this is a total guess, but my prediction for the EOS price during the upcoming bull run is easily over $50 per token, and it could be as high or higher than $100 per token. There is a chance that that could still happen, but I think that $50 per token is very, very easy to see happening, especially in light of all that we see, like all that I've described here with the vision that Block.one is carrying out. It's all going to start happening before the bull run is complete. And we're starting to see more and more DeFi getting built on the EOS blockchain. So with the further decentralization of the EOS blockchain, with mega corporations jumping on board, and with DeFi exploding on EOS, with fees lower than Ethereum, I think that there's only one direction for the price to go, and that is easily over $50, possibly over $100 this upcoming bull run. That's my price prediction. So increasingly, I think that our token holder votes are going to matter, whereas currently they don't matter so much. Exchanges are voting with over 120 million tokens, and on our public proxies, we have in the tens of millions of votes. So you can see that our influence is not so great, but I think that Block.one is actively working on this, and we're gonna see some improvements. So if you aren't voting, please do vote. Please consider voting for the Colin Talks Crypto proxy. It's Colin T Crypto, or my reward proxy, Colin Rewards, and I will continue to do my best to ensure the long-term survival and token price of the EOS blockchain. And I will put your votes to good use. And I will support the proper future upgrades to the network. I will support Dan's staking pool idea. I will support major corporations jumping into top block producing spots. I will basically back up Block.one's work here. So if exchanges don't, I will, and I will with your help. I think that's a good place to end this video, guys. Please share this video. Please like, please subscribe, please smash that like. And I hope you're doing great. The future is bright with EOS.